Time we're going to be having our toasts, and as you can see right above me here, first, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Ryan's father, Dr. J.K.
So I think it's appropriate to go with friends, Romans, countrymen. Stand somewhere like this. So, firstly, again, it's great to have everybody here. I have to admit that when Ryan and Bea said they were going to get married, I thought we were going to be doing this in the Philippines, and I'd be looking forward to going scuba diving and having some good food, but anyway, here we are. And when you ask Ryan's sisters how we got here, they're not sure how we got here either. But, anyway, so this is probably easier when you do this for your girls than when you do this for your son. So. But I'll try to step you through some things that I think are sort of relevant as to how we got here. So as Lexi recalls, Ryan started causing problems the day he was born. She fell on her face. It was the first time I think she'd been out of Susan's sight, in the first 2 years, fell on her face, and she had a gray tooth the rest of her life. But so I think she holds that. But the one thing that when I think about Ryan, that just sticks out, and I think this, says a lot about the future that he'll have with Bea, is Ryan is probably the most loyal brother that you could ever ask for, and I think his sisters will attest to that. Yeah. So that's the good news. Now there's actually more. I don't know if many of you know, but Ryan is actually a California boy. But he was born at Edwards Air Force Base, which is probably the most miserable place you can find in California. So, and that was quite some time ago. But, so, as Bea probably knows by now.
Wait, I didn't already make that joke.
So, those of you who know us know that we were a military family, and Ryan was born on an Air Force Base, and not too long after that, we weren't so much of a military family, but we moved around. Ryan moved around, as all the family did, had exposure to the military. And so the first thing, for those of you who served with Ryan and knows what he did, and just want to say thank you to you, all those who served, and all those who supported those who served. So the first toast is to all those who served and those who supported those who served. So after Ryan was born, as I said, we moved around, and it quickly, Ryan became my best friend, and there was, that's just what it was. When he was a little boy, there was just, that's who I wanted to hang around with. And that didn't always last. We were sort of a little bit too much alike.
Absolutely.
There's too much testosterone in the room, but it's come a little bit full circle, and but we had some great times. Susan was there and kept the home fires burning, but all the kids had the chance to travel with me, and some of my best times were when I traveled with Ryan. And I remember one very distinctly that was just one of the best trips I ever had, and that was when Ryan flew down, on his own to Ecuador, and I was teaching down there, and we got to go to the Galapagos Islands. Well, that was just a real treat for me to have, Ryan there with a small ship. We were out going to just one of the most amazing places on the planet, and we were inseparable. And we would go swimming. I remember one day when we were swimming, and Ryan, I think, was probably, I want to say 7, 8. You tell me, Ryan. Remember?
Like
9, okay. But we were, it's a place where the wildlife is incredible, and they've not unspoiled by humans, and it's just amazing to be there. And they kept saying, there's loads of sharks around here, and but they don't bother humans. I'm like, looking around and seeing the sea lions with a big chunk out of their butts and stuff. But but apparently they didn't bother humans. But so Ryan and I were swimming one day, and he was holding my hand, and it was the first time that he thought, you know what, I think I'll go out in front of my dad. And he gets out in front of me, and all of a sudden I see Ryan lift out of the water, and he comes right over top of me. And I look, and there's a shark in front of us, probably less than 10 feet away. And we're inside of the beach, and people are yelling and everything like that. Ryan goes the other way, and I go back to get him. I turn around, there's another shark right behind us. Everybody on the beach is watching this, unfold. In front of us, we have sharks, to the right, sharks to the left of us. Anyway, we made it back in, as you might expect, but I kept going back, and I went back to the captain of the ship, and I said, how would they know that it was a human and they wouldn't bother us and we weren't a sea lion? He says, well, they just know. So anyway, but that was the type of trips that I got to do, and I got to do that with all my kids, and so that was pretty interesting. So as we move forward, many years, we end up back in Baltimore, and that's where Ryan spent most of his life, as many of you know. And Ryan had a small group of friends, not a lot of friends, but a small group of friends. But seriously, we went to the guidance counselor, and Susan may remember this, and we're sitting there, and they said, Ryan's going to be one of those kids that's going to have not a lot of friends, but he's going to have a lot of good friends. And quite frankly, that's played out. And now that I look back, I think it's sort of the way I've lived my life. And I want to thank those friends of mine who've come here tonight as far away from as Australia and Colorado, Illinois, and his sister who came in from Pennsylvania, and so we're sort of spread out. And I talked to John and Rika, and I said, I'd like to be able to talk about your friends who came in from the Philippines, and they were like, no, nobody. John says, all my family lives here, and Rika said her family didn't make it. So I go back to, I said, if we'd had this wedding in the Philippines, it would have been a different group of people. So I was hoping that we still get to do that sometime and have another celebration like that. So I know I'm drawing this out, but that's what I do, So I'm getting to the sort of the punchline here, because those of you who know Ryan and have known him for a while know that Ryan's not always made the best choices in women.
Until?
I mean, that's an understatement, okay? So as we sat on the sidelines and watched this play in front of us, we're like, how long is this going to go on? And it went on far too long. But then one day, I think it was like, I want to say 4 years ago, and Tori and Tess and I tried to figure it out. But was it 4 years ago? Three? Okay. So, all right. Well, there was still some carnage in that fourth year. Anyway, we thought that we were worried about that. Anyway, but one day, Ryan talks to me, and he says, I've sort of met somebody I like. And I think, wow, where'd you meet her? And he says, well, we worked together. And I thought, I've been a consultant since 1982, and I thought, in most professions, that's not a good thing. When you're a consultant, that's sort of the only people you know are the people you work with or your clients. And so it sort of happens that you have the same drive, the same work ethic, the same interests, the same inclinations, the same attitudes around things. And I thought, well, we'll see how this plays out. And then the good news is we got to meet Bea. And it took a while until we met Bea. And I just, right from the start, I thought, this lovely young lady is in our lives, and I felt so badly for her, because I said, Ryan's got this track record that, he is just the best brother ever, probably not the best boyfriend ever. So,
phenomenal boyfriend,
yeah,
for the record.
Yeah. How many of them are here?
The only one that matters.
Exactly. There you go. So anyway, this unfolded, and again, I go full circle. Ryan, there's no doubt, is my best friend. And I know Tess thinks she's my favorite, Tori thinks she's my favorite. Lexi knows she's my favorite, so, you know. But it comes full circle that I've had a couple of really amazing experiences, and it's when I get them to myself that it's amazing. So several years ago, for a birthday present, and I've had far too many, but they made a special birthday present. They invited me to go to the Aussie Rules football national championships. And I still play rugby, but I used, you know, those of you know Ryan knows that he's been the president of the Baltimore Washington Aussie Rules Football Club, and he's been a stalwart, and so I go out there and I train with him. I just get a run around, get a little bit of exercise. But I get to go to the national championships. We had such a wonderful time. We just enjoyed, you know, doing things together. It was great seeing Ryan play so well. And everything was fine until I got kicked out of the tournament for trying to stop a fight. Or start one or something. I don't know. But I'm going to wrap this up fairly quickly. And you know, Abby and Tori said I should make this as short as possible, but hopefully I'm not. So, but it's not short enough, is that what you're saying? Well, so I'll tell an anecdote about Tori's wedding. So I try to, you know, celebrate my children when they do these special events, and I'm in the bathroom after, you know, Tori's reception, and I hear this girl saying, "Why did that guy talk about his daughter for 10 minutes?" And I'm like, because I can. So, but I had one of the best experiences I had last year was I got invited over. It was actually going to a coin show, and I got invited over to stay with Ryan and Bea. And again, I had them to myself, almost. And it was just to see them together, to see the home that they're building, to see what they mean to each other, to see someone who can deal with Ryan the way that most of us can't, is just, as a father, you look at that and you say, that's what you want for all of your kids. And so, Ryan and Bea, all I can say is, I'm so happy that Bea is part of our family. John and Rika, you've just done such a wonderful job. And we're just so pleased that you're here. And thank you for this opportunity. And you've put up with him for 14 months, far more than many people could. But I wish you all the best, and if there's anything the rest of us can do to make this work, just let us know. Thank you very much.